Try to close your eyes for a moment and let the noise of social media, the endless pings of notifications, simply vanish. Welcome back to London, 1970. If you, a person of the 21st century, were to suddenly step onto the street on an early morning back then, your first sensation wouldn't be what you see, but what you hear. No silent hybrid engines, no digital announcements. Instead, a handcrafted symphony, the rhythmic hum of small electric milk floats, and the gentle clink of glass bottles being placed firmly on the doorstep. My grandfather used to tell me, back then, the world moved a beat slower, yet we felt more connected. Today, join Beyond Horizons UK on a journey back in time. We aren't looking for grand historical events. We are searching for the tiny fragments of the soul of Britain, the things that were once the very heartbeat of every street, but have now slowly faded into thin air. London, 5 a.m. If you were standing on a quiet street in Chelsea or Islington in 1970, you would notice a silence that feels heavy, deep. There are no hums of distant air conditioners, no vibrations from heavy logistics trucks. Then, the first sound of the day arrives. It's the milk float. These peculiar, open-sided electric vehicles glide through the mist like ghosts. Close your eyes and listen. The rhythmic clink-clink of glass bottles. It was the heartbeat of the British morning. There was no plastic waste here, just the cold, heavy clatter of glass against stone. And look closely at the doorsteps. You'll see the milk notes, small, hurried scraps of paper tucked into the necks of empty bottles. 2 pints today, please, and a pack of butter. It's a simple thing, but think about the trust it represents. A world where you could leave your needs on a piece of paper and know they would be met by the time you woke up. As the light begins to gray, a different smell starts to drift over the rooftops. Not the smell of exhaust fumes, but the dry, acrid scent of coal smoke. In 1970, the first chore for many wasn't checking an iPad. It was kneeling before the hearth, clearing out the cold, gray ash from the night before, and carefully building a new fire. You can almost hear the strike of the long match, the first crackle of wood, and then the steady glow of the coal. That smoke. It hung in the London air, a bluish haze that told everyone, the house is warm, the day has begun. And for those who couldn't trust their own internal clocks, there was still the faint echo of the knocker up, though dying out by the 70s. In some industrial corners, you'd still see them. Men with long bamboo poles gently tapping on second-floor windows. A human alarm clock, ensuring that the gears of the city kept turning. Life was manual. Life was tactile. Before we touched screen, we touched glass, coal, and paper. By mid-morning, the quiet hum of the milk float is replaced by a much more robust symphony. Look towards the corner, and you'll see it, the flash of crimson, the Routemaster bus. In 1970, these weren't just vehicles. They were moving social clubs. Unlike the sealed plastic-heavy buses of today, the Routemaster had an open rear platform. You didn't just board a bus. You hopped on and off as it moved, a graceful, rhythmic dance between the Londoner and the machine. And then there was the bus conductor, a person, not a machine, who knew the streets like the back of his hand, the ding-ding of his bell, the rhythmic click of his ticket machine, and that classic London wit. Move along, please. Plenty of room on top. It was a human connection, a brief, shared moment of humor before you reached your stop. But perhaps the most sacred space on the pavement was the red telephone box. Before everyone carried a world of information in their pockets, these cast-iron cathedrals were our only lifelines. Step inside, and the world outside instantly mutes. There's a specific smell, a mix of old cigarettes, damp paper, and cold metal. Do you remember the weight of the pence coins in your palm? The anxiety of watching the time count down? You didn't call to check in or scroll through a feed. You called because you had something important to say. You waited in line, sometimes in the rain, watching the person inside through the glass, hoping they'd finish their conversation soon. There was a patience back then, a forced slowness. You couldn't be reached everywhere, and that meant, for a few hours a day, you were truly free. The streets were red, not just with paint, but with the pulse of a city that still took the time to talk, face to face. As the morning matures, the heart of the community begins to beat inside the high street shops. In 1970, shopping wasn't a chore of efficiency, it was a social ritual. Walk into the local grocer. There are no fluorescent aisles or self-checkout machines here. Instead, there is the scent of open sacks of flour and the earthy aroma of potatoes still dusted with soil from the farm. Everything was personal. The grocer knew your name. He knew how your mother liked her bacon sliced, and he would wrap your cheese in thick, waxy paper with the precision of an artist. You didn't just buy food, you exchanged stories. A 10-minute errand could easily turn into an hour of laughter and local gossip. And just down the road, the record store. For the youth of 1970, this was their cathedral, a place of pilgrimage. There was a physical weight to music back then. You didn't stream a song, you hunted for it. You spent hours flipping through cardboard sleeves, the tactile flick, flick, flick of the vinyl. Do you remember the feeling of sliding a brand new LP out of its sleeve? The static electricity, the deep black shine of the grooves? You didn't just listen to a track. You sat on the floor, studied the cover art, and read every single word of the liner notes. It was a commitment. Music was something you owned, something you touched, not just a file in a cloud. Even the laundrette on the corner had a magic of its own. A warm, humid sanctuary filled with the rhythmic thump-thump of heavy machines and the sweet, soapy smell of detergent. It was where secrets were shared over baskets of damp linen. A place where time seemed to slow down to the speed of a spinning drum. We didn't have convenience back then, but we had something much more valuable. We had a sense of belonging to a place and to each other. As the sun sets over the Thames, the city retreats behind heavy velvet curtains. In 1970, the evening was a time of gathering, not around individual screens, but around a shared glow. Do you remember the 3-channel universe? BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. That was it. There was no on-demand, no endless scrolling. If you missed a show, it was gone. A fleeting moment shared with millions of others at the exact same time. Families sat together, waiting for the familiar chime of the news or the flickering colors of a variety show. The television wasn't a background noise, it was an event. And when the broadcast ended, the test card appeared, and then silence. A reminder that the day was truly over. We lived by the light of the hearth and the warmth of a handwritten letter. Writing a letter in 1970 was an act of love. The scratch of the pen on paper, the lick of the stamp, the walk to the red pillar box in the cool night air. You were sending a piece of yourself across the miles. Looking back, from our world of instant updates and digital shadows, it's easy to call those times primitive. But were they? Perhaps those fragments of the soul we've searched for today, the clink of glass, the smell of coal, the weight of a coin, were the very things that kept us grounded. They reminded us that we are human, tactile, and connected by more than just signals in the air. Thank you for walking through the mist of time with me today. If these memories have stirred something in your heart, or if you simply wish to preserve these echoes of the past, please consider subscribing to Beyond Horizons UK. Join our community as we continue to rediscover the forgotten heartbeat of our history. Like a comment, share your own memories of the 70s below, and let's keep these stories alive together. Until our next journey, I'm George, and this has been a glimpse beyond the horizon. Good night, London.